Luke 6:28. For bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you.
And there came forward the daughters of Zelophehad, son of Hepher, son of Gilead, son of Machir, of the people of Manasseh, of the sons of Joseph. And these are their names: Mahlah and Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tisra, standing before Moses, and before Eleazar the priest, and before the rulers, and before all the congregation at the door of the tent of the testimony. They say, Our father died in the wilderness, and he was not in the midst of the congregation of the ones rising up together against the Lord in the congregation of Korah. For because of his sin he died, and there were no sons born to him. Let the name of our father not be wiped away from the midst of his people, for there is not a son to him. Give to us a possession in the midst of the brothers of our father. And Moses brought their case before the Lord. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Rightly the daughters of Zelophehad have spoken. A gift you shall give to them for possession of an inheritance in the midst of their brothers of their fathers. You shall put the lot of their father among them, and to the sons of Israel you shall speak, saying, A man, if he should die, and there might not be a son to him, you shall invest his inheritance to his daughter. And if there might not be a daughter to him, you shall give his inheritance to his brother. If there shall be no brothers to him, you shall give his inheritance to the brother of his father. And if there might not be brothers of the father, you shall give his inheritance to the member of the family, to the one nearest him of his tribe, to inherit the things of his. This will be to the sons of Israel an ordinance of equity, as the Lord gave order to Moses. The Lord said to Moses, Ascend into the mountain, the one on the other side of the Jordan, this Mount Nebo, and see the land of Canaan, which I give to the sons of Israel for a possession. You shall see it. You shall be added to your people, even you, as Aaron your brother was added, in Or the mountain, because you both violated my word in the wilderness of Zin, when the congregation rushed headlong against sanctifying me. You did not sanctify me at the water before them. This is the water of dispute, Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin. And Moses said to the Lord, Let the Lord God of the spirits and all flesh watch for a man to be over his congregation, who shall go forth before their face, and who shall enter before their face, and who shall lead them, and who shall bring them, that the congregation of the Lord shall not be as a sheep in which there is no shepherd. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take to yourself Joshua, son of Nun, a man who has a spirit in him. You shall place your hands upon him, and you shall set him before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation. You shall give charge to him before them, and you shall put your glory upon him, so that the sons of Israel should hearken to him. Before Eleazar the priest he shall stand, and they shall ask him the equity of the manifestations before the Lord. By his mouth they shall go forth, and by his mouth they shall enter, he and all the sons of Israel with one accord, and all the congregation. Moses did as the Lord gave charge to him, and taking Joshua, he stood him before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation. He placed his hands upon him, and he stood him just as the Lord gave orders to Moses. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Give charge to the sons of Israel. You shall say to them, saying, My gifts, my presents, my yield offerings, for a scent of pleasant aroma you shall observe to bring near to me in my holidays. You shall say to them, These are the yield offerings which you shall lead to the Lord. He lambs of a year old, unblemished, 2 a day for a whole burnt offering perpetually. The one lamb you shall offer in the morning, and the second lamb you shall offer towards evening. You shall offer the 10th of the ephah of fine flour for a sacrifice offering, being prepared in olive oil, the 4th part of a hin. It is a perpetual whole burnt offering, the one taking place in Mount Sinai, for a scent of pleasant aroma to the Lord, and its libation. The 4th part of the hin to the one lamb in the holy place you shall offer a libation offering of liquor to the Lord. And the second lamb you shall offer toward evening, according to its sacrifice offering, and according to its libation you shall offer it for a scent of pleasant aroma to the Lord. And the day of the Sabbaths you shall lead forward 2 lambs of a year old, unblemished, and 2/10 of fine flour, being prepared, and olive oil for a sacrifice offering, and its libation. A whole burnt offering of the Sabbaths on the Sabbaths, beside the continual whole burnt offering and its libation. And in the new moons you shall lead a whole burnt offering to the Lord, 2 calves of an oxen, 1 ram, 7 unblemished lambs of a year old, 3/10 of fine flour being prepared in olive oil for the 1 calf, and 2/10 of fine flour being prepared in olive oil for the 1 ram, and a 10th of fine flour being prepared in olive oil for the 1 lamb. A sacrifice scent of pleasant aroma,
a yield offering to the Lord. To their libation will be the half of the hin of wine for the one calf, and the third of the hin of wine will be for the one ram, and the fourth of the hin of wine will be for the one lamb. This is the whole burnt offering, month by month, throughout the months of the year, and a young he-goat for the goats, one for a sin offering to the Lord, beside the continual whole burnt offering. You shall offer it and its libation. And in the first month, the 14th day of the month, is a Passover to the Lord. And the 15th day of the month, this is a holiday. 7 days you shall eat unleavened breads, and the first day will be a holy summoning to you. All work which is servile you shall not do. And you shall bring whole burnt offerings, a yield offering to the Lord, 2 calves of the oxen, 1 ram, 7 lambs of a year old. They shall be unblemished to you, and their sacrifice offering shall be of fine flour, being prepared in olive oil, 3/10 for the one calf, 2/10 for the one ram. You shall offer a 10th tithe for the one lamb, for the 7 lambs, and a young he-goat from the goats, the one for a sin offering, to atone for you. Besides the continual whole burnt offering of the early morning, which is a perpetual whole burnt offering, these, according to these manners, you shall offer per day for the 7 days as a gift yield offering sent of pleasant aroma to the Lord. With the continual whole burnt offering, you shall offer its libation. And the 7th day will be a holy calling to you. All servile work you shall not do on it. And the day of the new produce, whenever you should bring a new produce sacrifice of the period of sevens to the Lord, it will be a holy summoning to you. All servile work you shall not do, and you shall bring whole burnt offerings for a scent of pleasant aroma to the Lord, 2 calves of the oxen, 1 ram, 7 lambs of a year old unblemished. These sacrifice offerings shall be of fine flour, being prepared in olive oil, 3/10 for the one calf, and 2/10 for the one ram, a 10th tithe to the one lamb for the 7 lambs, and the one young he-goat for the goats for a sin offering to atone for you. Besides the continual whole burnt offering and their sacrifice offering, you shall offer to me, they shall be unblemished to you, and their libation. Month, day 1 of the month, will be a holy summoning to you. All servile work you shall not do. A day of signal it will be to you. You shall offer whole burnt offerings for a scent of pleasant aroma to the Lord, 1 calf of the oxen, 1 ram, 7 unblemished lambs of a year old, their sacrifice offering of fine flour, being prepared in olive oil, 3/10 for the one calf, and 2/10 for the one ram, a 10th tithe to the one lamb for the 7 lambs, and a young he-goat from the goats, one for a sin offering to atone for you. Besides the whole burnt offerings of the new moon, and their sacrifice offerings, and their libations, and the continual whole burnt offering, and their sacrifice offerings, and their libations, according to their interpretation, for a scent of pleasant aroma to the Lord. The 10th of this month there shall be a holy summoning to you. You shall afflict your souls, and all your work you shall not do. You shall bring whole burnt offerings for a scent of pleasant aroma, yield offering to the Lord, 1 calf of the oxen, 1 ram, 7 lambs of a year old, and they shall be unblemished to you. Their sacrifice offering shall be of fine flour, being prepared in olive oil, 3/10 to the one calf, 2/10 to the one ram, a 10th tithe to the one lamb for the 7 lambs, and 1 young he-goat for the goats for a sin offering to atone for you. Besides the ones for the sin offering of the atonement, and the continual whole burnt offering, its sacrifice offering, its libation according to the interpretation, a yield offering to the Lord. And the 15th day of the 7th month will be a holy offering to you, summoning to you. All servile work you shall not do. You shall solemnize it as a holiday to the Lord for 7 days. You shall bring whole burnt offerings, a yield offering for a scent of pleasant aroma to the Lord. And on the first day, 3 and 10 calves of the oxen, 2 rams, 14 lambs of a year old, they shall be unblemished. These sacrifice offerings shall be of fine flour, being prepared in olive oil, 3/10 to the one calf for the 13 calves, 2/10 to the one ram for the 2 rams, and a 10th tithe to the one lamb for the 4 and 10 lambs, and 1 young he-goat of the goats for sin offering, beside the continual whole burnt offering, their sacrifice offering, and their libations. And the 2nd day, 12 calves of oxen, 2 rams, 4 and 10 unblemished lambs of a year old, their sacrifice offering, and their libation for the calves, and for the rams, and for the lambs according to their number, according to their interpretation, and a young he-goat of the goats, 1 for continual burnt offering, their sacrifice offering, and their libations. The 3rd day, 11 calves, 2 rams, 4 and 10 unblemished lambs of a year old, their sacrifice offering, and their libation for the calves, and for the rams, for the lambs, and according to their number, according to their interpretation, and the young he-goat of the goats, 1 for a sin offering, besides the continual whole burnt offering, their sacrifice offerings, and their libations. And the 4th day, 10 calves, 2 rams, 4 and 10 unblemished lambs of a year old, their sacrifice offerings and their libations for the calves and for the rams and for the lambs, according to their number, according to their interpretation, and a young he-goat of the goats, one for a sin offering, besides the continual whole burnt offering, their sacrifice offerings and their libations. The 5th day, 9 calves, 2 rams, 4 and 10 unblemished rams of a year old, their sacrifice offerings, their libations for the calves and for the rams and for the lambs, according to their number, according to their interpretation, and a young he-goat of the goats, one for a sin offering, besides the continual whole burnt offering, and a young he-goat of the goats, one for a sin offering, besides the continual whole burnt offering, their sacrifice offering and their libation. The 6th day, 8 calves, 2 rams, 14 unblemished lambs of a year old, their sacrifice offering and their libations for the calves and for the rams and for the lambs, according to their number, according to their interpretation, and a young he-goat of the goats, one for a sin offering, besides the continual whole burnt offering, their sacrifice offerings and their libations. The 7th day, 7 calves, 2 rams, 14 unblemished lambs of a year old, and their sacrifice offerings and their libations for the calves and for the rams and for the lambs, according to their number, according to their interpretation, and a young he-goat of the goats, one for a sin offering, besides the continual whole burnt offering, their sacrifice offering, and their libation. And the 8th day will be a holiday recess to you. All servile work you shall not do on it. You shall lead forward whole burnt offerings for a scent of pleasant aroma, yield offerings to the Lord, 1 calf, 1 ram, 7 unblemished lambs of a year old, and their sacrifice offerings, and their libations for the calf, and for the ram, and for the lamb, according to their number, according to their interpretation, and a young he-goat of the goats, one for a sin offering, besides the continual whole burnt offering, their sacrifice offering, and their libations. For these things you shall do to the Lord in your holidays, besides your vows, and your voluntary offerings, and your whole burnt offerings, and your sacrifice offerings, and your libations, and your deliverance offerings. And Moses spoke to the sons of Israel concerning all as many things as the Lord gave charge to Moses.
And Moses spoke to the rulers of the tribes of the sons of Israel, saying, This is the saying which the Lord ordered. A man who should vow a vow to the Lord, or should swear by an oath, or should confirm a set of limits upon his life, he shall not profane his word. All as many things as should come forth from out of his mouth he shall do. If a woman shall vow a vow to the Lord, or confirm a set limits in the house of her father in her youth, her father should hear her vows, and her sets of limits which she confirmed on her life, and her father should remain silent. Then shall stand all the matters of her vows, and all the sets of limits which the confirmed on her life shall be she abide by. If in shaking his head in distance her father should dissent in whichever day he should hear her vows, and her sets of limits which she confirmed on her life, then they shall not stand, and the Lord shall clear her, for her father shook his head in dissent. But if in coming to pass she should become a man's wife, and her vows be upon her, according to the distinction from her lips as many things as she confirmed on her life, and her husband should hear, and should remain silent concerning her in whichever day he should hear, then thus shall stand all her vows, and her sets of limits which she confirmed on her life shall stand. But if in the shaking his head in dissent her husband should dissent in whichever day he should hear all her vows, and her sets of limits which she confirmed on her life, they shall not abide, for her husband shook his head in dissent concerning her, and the Lord shall clear her. And a vow of a widow and a woman being cast out, as many things as she should make a vow on her life, shall abide to her. But if in the house of her husband her vow be, or the set of limits on her life with an oath, and her husband should hear and remain silent concerning her, and should not shake his head in dissent concerning her, then shall stand all her vows, and all her sets of limits which she confirmed on her life shall stand concerning her. But if in it, removing her husband should remove them, in whichever day he should hear, all as many things as should come forth from out of her lips concerning her vows, and concerning the sets of limits on her life, it shall not remain to her. Her husband removed them, and the Lord cleared her. Every vow and every binding oath to afflict her soul, her husband shall set for her, and her husband shall remove for her. But if in keeping silent he should remain silent at her day by day, then all her vows shall stand to her, and the sets of limits upon her shall stand to her, for he kept silent at her in the day in which he heard. But if removing her husband should remove them after the day which he heard them, then he shall take the sin unto himself. These are the ordinances, as many as the Lord gave charge to Moses, between a husband and between his wife, between a father and a daughter in youth in the house of her father. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Let the sons of Israel avenge with punishment on the Midianites, and at the last you shall be added to your people. Moses spoke to the people, saying, Completely arm your men, and deploy before the Lord against Midian, to render punishment by the Lord on Midian. 1,000 from a tribe, even 1,000 from a tribe from all of the tribes of the sons of Israel you shall send to deploy. They counted out from the thousands of Israel 1,000 from a tribe, 12,000 being armed in battle array. And Moses sent them, 1,000 from out of a tribe, even 1,000 from out of a tribe with their force. And Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, and the holy items and the trumpets were in their hands for the signals. They deployed against Midian as the Lord gave charge to Moses, and they killed every male. They killed the things of Midian together with their slain, Evi and Rechem and Zur, and Hur and Reba. 5 kings of Midian, and Balaam, son of Beor, they killed by the broadsword with their slain. They despoiled the women of Midian and their belongings, and their cattle, and all the things procured by them. And they despoiled their force, and all their cities, the ones in their dwellings, and their properties they burned by fire. And they took all the plunder and all their spoils from man and to beast, and they brought to Moses and to Eleazar the priest, and to all the sons of Israel, the captivity and the spoils, and the plunder into the camp in the wilderness of Moab, which is upon the Jordan by Jericho. Moses came forth, and Eleazar the priest, and all the rulers of the congregation, to meet with them outside the camp. And Moses was provoked to anger with the overseers of the force, commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds, the ones coming from the battle array of the war. And Moses said to them, Why did you take alive every female? For these were the occasions to the sons of Israel by the words of Balaam, of their leaving and overlooking the word of the Lord because of Peor. And it came to pass the calamity in the congregation of the Lord. Now kill every male among all the chattel, and every woman who knew the marriage bed of a man kill. All the chattel of the women who have not known the marriage bed of a man, take them alive. You camp outside the camp 7 days, everyone doing away with a soul. All having touched the one being pierced shall be purified in the 3rd day, and in the 7th day you and your captivity. Every wraparound garment, and every item made of skin, and every work of goatskin, and every wooden item you shall purify. And Eleazar the priest said to the men of the force of the ones coming from the battle array of the war, This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord gave orders to Moses. Besides the gold and the silver, the brass, the iron, the lead, and the tin, everything which shall go through in fire shall be let through in fire, and shall be clean. But only with the water of purification shall it be purified. All as many as shall not travel through fire shall go through water. You shall wash the garments on the 7th day, and you shall be clean. And after this you shall enter into the camp. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take the total sum of the spoils of the captivity, from man unto beast, you and Eleazar the priest, and the rulers of the patrimony of the congregation. You shall divide the spoils between the warriors of the ones going forth into the battle array, and between the whole congregation. You shall offer up the tax to the Lord from the men of the warriors, of the ones going forth into the battle array, 1 soul from 500 of the people, from the cattle and from the oxen, from the sheep and from the donkeys. From their half you shall take, and you shall give to Eleazar the priest the firstfruits from the Lord. From the half of the ones of the sons of Israel you shall take 1 from 50 from the people, from the oxen, from the sheep, and from the donkeys, from all the cattle. You shall give them to the Levites, to the ones guarding the watches in the tent of the Lord. Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord gave orders to Moses. And it came to pass the surplus of the plunder which the warrior men despoiled from the sheep, 600,000, and 70,000, 5,000, oxen 2 and 70,000, and donkeys 1 and 60,000, and the souls of people from the women who did not know the marriage bed of the male, all souls 2 and 30,000. And it came to pass the half portion of the ones going forth into the war, of the number of the sheep, 300,000, 30,000, 7,500. It came to pass the tax to the Lord of the sheep, 675, and oxen 6 and 30,000, and their tax to the Lord 2 and 70, and donkeys 30,500, and their tax to the Lord 1 and 60, and the souls of people 6 and 10,000, and their tax to the Lord 2 and 30 souls. And when Moses gave the tax to the Lord, the cutaway portion of God, to Eleazar the priest, as the Lord gave orders to Moses, and of the half of the sons of Israel, whom Moses divided from the warrior men, and came to pass half from the congregation of the sheep, 300,000, 30,000, 700, and 500, and oxen 6 and 30,000, donkeys 30,500, and souls of people 6 and 10,000. And Moses took from the half of the sons of Israel the ones from every 50 of the people, and from the cattle, and he gave them to the Levites guarding the watches of the tent of the Lord, in which manner the Lord gave orders to Moses. There came forward to Moses all the ones placed as the commanders of the force, commanders of thousands, commanders of hundreds, and they said to Moses, Your servants have taken the total sum of the warrior men of the ones with us, and not dissented of them, not even one. We have brought the gift to the Lord, every man who found an item of gold, an armlet, and bracelet, and ring, and right armband, and wreath, to atone for us before the Lord. Moses and Eleazar the priest took the gold from them, every item being worked, and came to pass all the gold for the cutaway portion which they removed to the Lord, 16,750 shekels from the commanders of thousands and from the commanders of hundreds. And the warrior men despoiled each unto himself. Moses and Eleazar the priest took the gold from the commanders of 1,000, from the commanders of hundreds, and carried them into the tent of the testimony, a memorial of the sons of Israel before the Lord.
Thus speaks the man to the one trusting in God. Now I will cease. I am altogether most foolish of men, and the intelligence of man is not in me. God has taught me wisdom, and I know the knowledge of the holies. Who ascended into the heavens and came down? Who brought together the winds in his bosom? Who bundled up waters in his cloak? Who holds all the extremities of the earth? What name is given to him? Of what name to the children that you know him? For all the words of God are purified, and he himself shields the ones venerating him. You should not add to his words, lest he reprove you, and you should become a liar. 2 things I ask from you. You should not remove favor from me before my dying. Appoint the vain and false word far away from me. And riches and poverty you should not give to me, but order up for me the things necessary, and the things to be self-sufficient, that I should become not false in being filled up, and should say, who sees me? Or to be in need, that I shall steal, and I shall swear an oath by the name of God. You shall not deliver a bondservant into the hands of a master, lest at any time they should curse you, and you should be obliterated. A bad progeny curses a father, and he does not bless the mother. A bad progeny judges himself as just, and washes not his going out. A bad progeny has lofty eyes, and with his eyelids he lifts himself up. A bad progeny has swords for teeth, and the molars as pruning knives, so as to consume the weak from the earth, and the needy of them from among men. There were 3 daughters to the leech, being loved in affliction. These 3 does not fulfill her, and the 4th it was not sufficient to say enough. Hades, passion of a woman, the earth not filled with water, and water and fire in no way shall say it suffices. The eye ridiculing a father, and dishonoring the old age of a mother, let the crows for the ravines cut it out, and may the young of the eagles devour it. There are 3 things impossible for me to comprehend, and the 4th I do not know. The traces of a flying eagle, the ways of a serpent upon a rock, the paths of a ship passing through the sea, and the ways of a man in youth. Such is the way of an adulterous woman whenever she should act in washing herself. She says not to have acted out of place. By 3 things the earth is shaken, by the 4th it is not able to bear. A domestic servant should reign, a fool should be filled with food, a female domestic servant if she is cast out by her own lady, and a hateful wife if she should attain a good man. There are 4 lesser things upon the earth that are wiser than the wise, the ant in whom there is no strength, and they prepare a nourishment in summer. The rabbit, a nation not being strong, the ones making their own houses on the rocks. The locust is independent, but marches in order from one word of command, and the newt with its hand sticking, being easily caught, it dwells in the fortresses of kings. There are 3 things which go prosperously, the 4th which passes over well. The lion cub is stronger than the beasts, which does not turn away, nor is struck with awe of any beast. A rooster walking about among females confident, and a he-goat taking the lead of a flock of goats, and a king devouring a public address to a nation. If you should let go of yourself in gladness, and stretch out your hands for a fight, you shall be dishonored. Extract milk, and there will be butter. But if you should pressure the nostrils, there shall come forth blood. If you should drag out words, there shall come forth litigations and fights. Romans 8, 1-4. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus hath made me free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, for sin condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. When General Grant accepted the surrender of General Lee and the Army of Northern Virginia on April 8, 1865, the Civil War officially came to an end. Among the terms Grant offered was a promise of parole for Lee and other Confederate officers, protecting them from prosecution for their part in the war. President Lincoln approved of those terms. His assassination the following week changed the situation. Eager for revenge, a federal judge issued indictments against Lee and others on June 9, 1865, concerned that the agreement might no longer be honored. Lee wrote to Grant asking whether the terms he had accepted were still in effect. Grant immediately traveled to Washington, met with President Andrew Johnson and Secretary of War Edward Stanton. He insisted that the agreement he had negotiated must be honored, and at his urging the judge withdrew the charges. But what protected Lee was not his innocence, for he had indeed fought against the Union. Instead, it was the agreement he made with Grant, the intercession of Grant on his behalf. The freedom from condemnation that we enjoy as children of God does not come from our innocence, but from the sacrifice Jesus made on our behalf. Even now he serves as an advocate before the Father. My little children, these things write I unto you, that ye sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, righteous. Our freedom from condemnation rests not on our innocence, but on Christ's sacrifice and advocacy for us.